last few weeks. I haven't been able to understand it. So, wow. Gone for a few days, and look, you guys just lose all control whatsoever. I'm telling you, kind of like classroom this week. I mean, got into those classrooms, and we thought, dear God, did they lose their minds over the summer or what? And the answer is yes, they did. So listen, I am so glad to hear, as most of you realize, I've been in Brazil for the last month on a ministry trip, and yes, it was a great time, and yes, it was exhausting. I taught a class on systematic theology in their seminary. During the week, I preached in different churches on the weekends. I met with different leaders and, oh my goodness, and pastors throughout the week and strategizing, working with them. So it was a full and a wonderful trip. I want to tell you now one story of what had happened on my last night of classes at teaching at the seminary. There was about 25 of us in the class, okay? And for the last night of class, the thing was they had to make a presentation class. Each one was going to make a presentation. And because it was the last night of class, they also wanted to have kind of like a little bit of party so they could bring something to eat and share and have that kind of thing. And so they asked me what I would like for the party. And I told them what I have told you so many times before. What is it? Chocolate is always appropriate. And so they laughed at that, but they said, we were thinking more along the lines of churrasco. Now, churrasco is the Brazilian term for when you cook meat on the grill, okay? So you're talking, and I mean, they grill meat, and then they just keep serving it. So when they asked me what I thought about that, I said, barbecue and chocolate. You don't have to ask me twice. I mean, I am all in for that. And what was funny to me, that night we were supposed to be talking about heaven. So I said, because barbecue and chocolate, that is the food of heaven. I am sure I can prove that. And if somebody can scratch up a Dr. Pepper, I'm just going to be all in right there. So it was a great time. Now, I tell you all that to say that I did not go to that last night of class out of obligation. I went out of desire, okay? I mean, if they had managed to locate that Dr. Pepper, I think I'd have just died right there and gone to heaven because it was an incredible night. But hang on to that picture for a moment with me, would you? Because that is exactly the feeling I want to talk to you about today. There are things in life that you genuinely love, right? Not things that you tolerate, not things that you do because you have to, but things when someone mentioned them, it just changes the whole demeanor of your life. And for me, in that moment in Brazil, it was barbecue and chocolate, okay? Now, for you, you've got your own version of that. You've got your own list of things like that light you up, all right? Now, with that thought in mind, I've got a question. Is church on your list? Is this church on that list? And I don't mean, is church on the list because you go to church out of habit? Or you're there because of guilt? Or you're there because somebody's keeping score and I got to be there? Check it off the holy to-do list. I mean, church the way God always intended it to be. A place where you love to be. A place, a people you love to be with. A community, an environment where something happens you just can't find anywhere else. Before I left for Brazil, we had looked at what I believe is one of the most profound passages in the Gospels. The words of Jesus in John 13, chapter 13, verse 34, where Jesus repeated over and over. Remember, he repeated over and over, love each other. And we talked about love as one of the essential nutrients of a flourishing church. And if you remember, we define love as the deliberate choice to pour yourself out for another, whether they deserve it, return it, or even notice it. So we looked at that, and then I got on a plane and disappeared for a month. But I couldn't get away from these words of Jesus. Love each other. And I kept thinking, we talked about what love is, but we didn't talk about what love does. What does a church actually look like when love is working? What does it feel like to walk into a congregation where people genuinely have chosen to pour themselves out for each other the way Jesus said? Because here's what I know. When that is the church, You go there not because you have to, but because you want to. And if you have this sense of, I love my church, you understand what I'm talking about. So for the next few weeks, I want us to consider what that means, okay? The scriptures make it undeniably clear that Jesus loves his church. He created it. He died for it. He prays for it. He lives for it. And he's going to return for it. When the church is working right, there is nothing like it. It is the hope of the world. So I want to dig a little deeper into what Jesus meant in John chapter 13. Because when we get this one right, when we actually love each other the way Jesus commanded, this will become the kind of church that nobody has to be dragged to. Instead, it'll be a church that we all just love. So locate John 13 again with me, would you? Let me remind you the context as you're doing that. Find it in your Bibles. The context is this scene where these words were stated. We're in the upper room, the Last Supper. Jesus is just hours away from his arrest, his trial, his torture, and his crucifixion. And so Jesus is giving his disciples his most important lesson on the one critical principle he knew would define them and guide them as a group, as a congregation, as a church when he was gone. What was that? Well, have you found John 13:34 yet? Let's read it out loud together. It'll be on the screen, but let's read it out loud together. So now I am giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. Okay. Jesus told the same thing. He told them the same thing 3 times. 3 times he said it, so he must have meant it. This really must have been the most important thing that he could tell them for the church to come. Now, the church itself would actually kind of be really started and birthed officially just a few weeks after he said this, after his death and resurrection and ascension, and that story is told in the book of Acts. But here we find Jesus instructing his closest followers on what a church is supposed to be like at its core and how it needs to operate if it's going to have any impact on its community. And he said that the one critical operation principle for that church is this: love each other. But what's that really mean? What does it mean to love each other in the church? What does it mean for us to love each other in this room? When we say we want to love the church the way Jesus intended it to be loved, what in the world does that mean, Jesus? Well, so let's go back through these statements of Jesus, these 3 statements that he makes. Slow down a little bit on them and see what he means. See what it can tell us about loving each other in the church the way Jesus told us to love his church. First thing he said was, so now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Remember that this was a statement he made to his disciples. This was not said to the people who were walking down the street. It was not said to the folks in the market. This was said to his disciples. He was talking to individuals who had already made the decision to follow him. Okay? So this instruction was not for those who are not Christians. It's not for those who are just checking it out, seeing what it's like. This is for those who are already chosen to follow Jesus and to be a part of this thing he called the church. And he said, here is my commandment for you. Love each other. Do you see that word commandment? Do you see it there? If nothing else, Jesus made it pretty clear that loving each other in the church is a non-optional thing. Okay? He calls this a commandment. And this isn't actually the only time he calls it that. The command to love each other actually shows up over and over and over in the Gospels. So this is not an optional thing. Jesus didn't say, let me give you a suggestion. Here's an idea you might want to consider in your congregation. He didn't say, here's another strategy you might take and consider. No. He said this is a commandment. This is non-optional. Love each other. But why? That's why I sat down and I tried to dig through this thing. Okay, Jesus, why is this non-optional? Why is this non-optional? And I thought, well, for one thing, love for one another in the church is not optional because it's not easy, okay? Can we just be honest about that? Loving each other in a church congregation is not easy. And if you don't believe that, you just haven't tried to love some Christians lately. I tell you what. Because let's face it, some of the hardest people to love are other Christians. I thought, Donnie, you're the only one laughing at that. I'm afraid nobody else is getting my point here. So let me say it this way. Don't point, but you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Okay? Really. I mean, yes. It is easy to love some people in your church. I mean, it's easy to love my family. My family here, even my extended family. I'm glad, it's easy. My family, I love them. Woo! Please don't ask them about me before they leave, though. But I love my family. Your family? I mean, really, have you looked at that family picture lately? It's not so easy, is it? It's easy to love my kids, my grandkids. Oh, dear Lord, when I got back, first thing I wanted was my grandkids. Grandkids are wonderful. They are God's gift to you for not killing your own children. It is awesome. I'll put up with my kids so I can see the grandkids. It's great. I love my grandkids. Your grandkids? Oh, dear God. Sometimes when they come through, I think, dear Lord, what happened, Somebody put Clorox in the gene pool. I mean, really? Not so easy. Are we going to be honest? Okay, right? My closest friends. I love my closest friends. That's why they're my friends. I love my friends. Some of your friends? What are you thinking? Okay, you see what I mean? It's not easy to love some people. It's not easy to love some people in your own church, right? And if you know what I'm talking about. I just ask you don't point today. Jesus knew that loving each other in the church wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be. And if you read this entire section of the gospel, okay, you're going to find Jesus, when he said this, had just listened to his guys arguing with each other over which one of them would be the most important in the church. I mean, it's in the context of that kind. Can you imagine being at that board meeting? You don't love people in that board meeting. I mean, really. If that's your small group, you're thinking, I want out of here. You're not there because you want to be. You see what I'm saying? He said that in the context of people that it's hard to love sometimes. I think Jesus made loving each other in the church not optional because he knew it was not easy. But I also thought about it and realized he made this a non-optional thing because he knew it is not natural. Now follow me on this. It's not our natural tendency. It's not natural because our natural tendency, let's get real now, our natural tendency is the same as the natural tendencies of the disciples who had just displayed that tendency right there. Our tendency is to focus on ourselves and our wants and our ideas and our stuff. That is our natural tendency, and that's why those guys had been arguing with each other that night. That's why they've been jockeying for position over who's going to be in control. The natural tendency of every one of us, and if nobody's told it to you, we've just all seen it in you. Our natural tendency is to focus on us. And that's why people argue with each other in the church so much, by the way. That's why people jockey for position in a church. Any church so often, because that is our natural tendency. But that natural tendency can cause division. It can cause dispute. It can just tear up churches. It can destroy witnesses, just like it was doing for these first followers of Jesus. So let's face it. Is it not true? Is it not true? It takes absolutely no effort to find fault in other people. It doesn't take me any effort to find fault in other people. It takes even less effort to post it and tell others about it, especially in the church. Hello? The natural tendency in every one of us is not to love each other. Our natural tendency is to use each other and abuse each other in order to get what we want. And so Jesus says, if you're going to be a genuine follower of mine, if the church is going to be the church the way I love the church, and the way you'll love being a part of that church, then loving each other in the church isn't going to be easy or natural, but it is going to be necessary. Okay? This isn't one of those things that you can take it or leave it, like you do at the potluck. You know what that's like. Hey, I've had I've been at more buffet lines in the last month that I just looked at it and went, I don't know what it is, so I'm not putting it on my plate. I've had times I took stuff that I thought it looked like lasagna. It was fish. Ugh! It was terrible. You know, this command of Jesus is not like the buffet line. If you want to be a follower of Jesus, you're going to have to learn to love your church by loving the people in your church. That won't be easy, won't be natural, but it will be necessary. Now, that's not all Jesus said about this. I said he made 3 statements about it. Looked at the first one, let's look at the second one. He said, just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Jesus didn't just tell us what to do, what we're to do. He told us how to do it. I'm telling you to love each other just as I have loved you. So how did Jesus love us? Well, I'll tell you one thing. He didn't love us by just talking about it. That's for sure. He did something about it. It wasn't just words that he spouted. It wasn't just feel-good statements that he posted on his social media or on the synagogue bulletin board. Jesus loved people by doing something, including giving up his life for us. Now, what that tells me is this. This love for each other in the church is a relational thing. Words are easy. But it's not love unless it's lived out in relationships. Did you hear me? Words are easy, and we use them. But it's not really love unless it's lived out in relationships. Let me explain it this way. Last Sunday, actually in Brazil, it was Father's Day last Sunday. Yeah, they have Father's Day the second Sunday of August. It was weird, but I thought, I get 2 Father's Day this year. This is great. And I got another Father's Day gift. It was wonderful. But I couldn't help but think back over some of the Father's Days through the year. And there was one that stuck out at me when I was thinking about this lesson. Typical, understand this, since Father's Day is on Sunday, I'm a little busy on Sundays. So oftentimes we can't do a whole lot about Father's Day on Sunday. And so what my wife and daughter had decided to do that particular year was we were going to do things on Saturday. And so all of a sudden I find out they're taking me out to breakfast on Saturday to IHOP. How many of you like IHOP? How many of you think IHOP is God's gift to Bartlesville? Finally, a good restaurant? No, some of you know. Okay, well, let's pretend that it was, okay? So it was new at that time. And so my daughter, and that was part of her gift to me, she and Linda, we all went to the IHOP, and I had, oh my goodness. I had eggs and bacon. And then I had bacon. And then there was waffles and pancakes. And there was hash browns. And there was orange juice. And there was coffee. Oh, it was good coffee. Am I making you hungry yet? I'm trying really hard here, okay? It was awesome. And it was all a part of Father's Day. And I loved it, okay? But that was just the restaurant. When we got home from the restaurant, there were all these presents that were sitting on the table in the kitchen. And they were all with a coffee theme that year. It was great. I thought that was hilarious. It was fun. I think she even had coffee-flavored Jelly Bellies. Those are wonderful if you've not had. They're awesome. Chocolate-covered coffee beans. I don't know what they call those other than good. Really good. So it was all these coffee-themed presents there, and it was great. And then there were the cards. She had the different cards. I even had a card from her dog. I got a Father's Day card from the dog. How many of you have ever been blessed with a Father's Day card from a dog? Okay? So the rest of you do not know that blessing. It was awesome. It was wonderful. And then she came up to me, my daughter, she hugged me and said, Dad, I love you. And I just melted. Dad, you know that. I loved it. Now, here's my question. Keep those images in mind. When Jesus tells us to love each other in the church, what do you think he means? Does he want us to love one another like I love my experience at the restaurant? Or does he want us to love the church like I love my daughter? Think about the restaurant. I was enjoying something that was being done for me. Absolutely. I was consuming something from a place that was offering me something in exchange for money. I was simply a consumer at that point, just like any consumer at any restaurant. If I liked it, If I considered it excellent, I could rate it like that, put a positive review on Yelp, and then recommend it to other people. If I didn't like it, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't go back, and I'd tell other people, don't go there either. That was the restaurant. Now, with my daughter, it was different. I wasn't a consumer. I was a family member experiencing an important relationship, right? My daughter's someone I'm connected to. And so my love for her is not based on what I'm receiving from her or enjoying because of her, but because of who she is and how I am related to her. It's not about consumption, it's about family. I love her and I care for her and I do life with her because it's because of the relationship. She's my daughter. Now at times, come on. Life is life. And there's going to be some not so great experiences in life. But we always work through those. I don't Yelp rate my daughter. Parents, you ought to learn that one. I don't Yelp rate my daughter. I love her. Now, can you see my point here? The church was never meant to be like a restaurant. It was meant to be like a relationship. You are not consumers here. You're family. Big difference, right? And that family relationship begins first and foremost when you start a relationship with Jesus. Jesus loves you. He offers a relationship with him to you. His death on the cross was an act of love to provide for you a way to be forgiven of your sins, to be saved, and be brought into relationship with him. And if you've never done that, I would encourage you to do that, like today, like right now, because it's awesome. Because when you do that, Jesus not only brings you into a relationship with himself, he brings you into a relationship with a family of faith. Being in a relationship with Jesus means being a part of church, being a part of his kingdom, being a part of his family. It's a relational thing. Our problem is, come on now, let's talk. Our problem is too often we treat the church like a restaurant. Can we be honest enough about this for a moment? We treat it like a restaurant. We begin to act not like family members, but like consumers. If we enjoy the food and the service and the atmosphere, we'll come back, might even leave a tip. If we don't enjoy it, if we don't like the atmosphere, how comfortable the seats are, or what the temperature was, the air conditioner, if it's too high, too low, if we don't feel like we're getting fed, that one. If we don't enjoy the music they're playing, then we certainly don't leave any tip. We might just not come back. Instead, we'll go to another church, if we go at all. And that's just beyond unfortunate when it happens, because it sets up expectations that were never intended by Jesus. So what's my point? My point is this. Love for the church is more than a quiver in your liver. It's a family thing. Okay, I worked really hard on that line. You should appreciate it more than that. Love is more than just a feeling you get because you like what you're having at the restaurant. It's a relationship. It's a family thing. And love isn't love unless it's relational. You'll never experience love for your church until you practice loving the people in your church. Can I say that again? You will never experience love for your church until you practice expressing love to the people in your church. We will love our church when we make it about relationships and not about a restaurant, okay? So let me give you just real quick a couple of suggestions on how to do that, because it's important. You can love your church by connecting. Get into fellowship. Don't just fill a pew. By the way, the reason I tell you take a moment and love on each other, because I want you to take a moment and love on each other. I mean that. And I don't mind that you start getting louder than, you talk louder than I preach sometimes. It's amazing. It's like third hour in the junior high hallway. I mean, really. And that's wonderful. Because I want you to get to know each other by connecting. To get to know each other's, can I say it honestly, get to know each other's names. How many admit, I don't know everybody's name in this room. That's me. I don't know everybody's name in this room. I should. But I only have 3 brain cells, and 2 of those are still over the Atlantic coming home. But I want to. And I only will do that when I connect with you and get to know you. which means getting to know more than your name, getting to know your hurts, getting to know your hopes. Connect with each other. Do more than just sit in a pew. You get it? You can love your church by serving. God has given every one of us supernatural abilities to encourage and to help and to love on, to reach others. He's given us these abilities. Well, use them. Love your church by serving the people in your church with those abilities. And you can love your church by sharing, okay? By sharing. I share my time with you. I share my abilities with you. I share my treasures with you. You know the reason I have a plan, a financial plan for the church I say I love? Is because sharing my resources is one of the tangible ways that I love those in relationship with me. And so the church is one of those. And if I didn't have a plan, it'd be way too easy to just neglect that whole aspect of it. Now, those are just a couple real tangible things, okay? Just tangible ways to make love more than a quiver in your liver. Instead, make it a relational thing. So it begins with a relationship with Jesus. It spills out into relationship with other people. But there were three things that Jesus said about this. We looked at two. Let's look at the third real quick. He said, your love for one another, last thing he said, your love for one another will prove to the world that you're my disciples. Jesus told his disciples, his followers, that their love for each other would be a proof positive thing. It's not just non-negotiable. It's not just a relational thing. It is a proof positive thing. What do I mean by that? Jesus is saying it would be the proof to the world that you're truly his followers. And in case you didn't know it, that is exactly what happened. If you know your history, that is exactly what happened in our world. The love that these first followers of Jesus shared with each other was one of the things that people who were outside of the church kept noticing about the people in the church and taking notice of it. My goodness. In fact, one of the earliest non-biblical documents that records the impression that the Roman officials and the citizens, the population as a whole, their impression of the church, one of the earliest documents we have, this is what they said. Wow, see how they love one another. That's what they kept saying. You know, I don't know who these people are that call themselves followers of Jesus, but I'll tell you what, they really love each other. That's what people who did not know Jesus, people outside of the church, said about the people in the church. Do you think that's getting said today? See how they love one another. They couldn't understand it, that in this gathering of a church, called a church, you had slave owners now treating slaves with love. They couldn't figure that one out. You had people from different ethnic groups that always fought one another, now loving each other. They couldn't figure that one out. You had poor people treating the rich with love and rich people treating the poor with love. And they're going, wow, check that out. There are other ancient records. Again, this is what happened. There are other ancient records that talk about the fact there was a devastating plague that went through that just swept the ancient world in the 3rd century. And it was the Christians who were the ones who were caring for the sick, as were the others would take their own family members. When they got sick, they would throw them out into the streets and lock the door because they were afraid to catch the illness. It was the Christians who picked them up and took them into their own homes and cared for them even at the risk of dying themselves. Wow. See how they love one another. There was a love for each other that proved to the world that these church people belonged to Jesus, and it made others want to belong to Jesus as well. Now, don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me here. It is not your love for each other that gives you the proof you need in order to force them to let you in when you arrive. It's not your passport to get into heaven. Okay? Don't think that. This is how I get a stamp that you have to let me in because I did this. That's not it. No. Jesus didn't say this love for each other is the proof to get you the ticket to get into heaven. Nope. What he said was this love that you have and show for each other is the proof to the world that is the undeniable evidence that you already belong to me. And it's going to make them want to belong to me as well. Did you catch that? This love that you have for each other will be the proof to the world that you really do belong to me, and it's going to make them want to belong to me as well. People want to check out this Jesus whose followers really love on each other, rather than whose followers criticize and complain about each other. You know, through my years as a pastor, I've heard from more people in the communities, and I've heard from more people who will tell me the reason they want nothing to do with the church and they want nothing to do with Jesus is because they watch the people who claim to be Christians treat each other. I've had people tell me what Jesus should have said was, by this all people will know you are my disciples if you criticize one another and hate on one another, because that's what you're doing. And that just broke my heart. Jesus said, it is your love for each other that will prove to the community that you're my followers and make them want to become my followers as well. Love's the power of our outreach. Or put another way, the way we create a hunger for Jesus in the hearts of the people around us is to exemplify the love of Jesus between us. Okay? The way we create a hunger in our extended family, a hunger in our neighbors, a hunger in our school classrooms, the way we create a hunger for Jesus in those around us is by exemplifying love between us. Here's an unsettling thought. If I consider myself a Christian and I was taken to court over it, would there be enough evidence of my loving others in the church in tangible ways to convict me? Now, if you're not a Christian, you don't wrestle with that. Not at all. In fact, that might be good evidence why you don't want to be a Christian. But those of us who call ourselves Christians, we ought to pause and think about that. So I ran across this statement. Let me give this to you. A guy by the name of Rodney Pickett. It just kind of unsettled me, and I thought, well, I'll share it to him. He said, love is the identifying mark of Christianity. In a world of hate, envy, anger, love sticks out like a healthy thumb. I like that. When anyone walks away from an encounter with us, that person should remember our love, not our convictions. The way we create a hunger for Jesus in the hearts of the people around us in our community is to exemplify the love of Jesus between each other and our congregation. Let me give you an example of how that works or doesn't work. A few years ago, I was in Tulsa at a concert. I was going to a concert, taking the girls to one. And as we were going in, there was a street preacher right in front of the concert hall on the bullhorn. And he is just blasting out louder than loud that everybody who was going into the concert was going to hell. Because they were attending that concert, you are going to hell. That's what he kept saying over and over. And I just felt so bad about it. I mean, I just had this heavy burden in my soul going, that's just not right. That's not just right. And I finally figured out why it felt so bad. His words were not the proof to the world, to the unsaved, that he was a follower of the Jesus they desperately needed. No, his words were the proof to the unsaved that he was a jerk whose religion they ought to stay as far away from as possible. Scriptures make it undeniably clear that Jesus loves his church. He created it, he died for it, he prayed for it, he lives for it, he's going to return for it. When the church is working right, there is nothing like it. It's the hope of the world. And his commandment to us was to love it. So you tell me, do you love your church? I love my church because Jesus said, love your church. Stand with me, would you? Let's pray. Lord, I want to pray, just share my heart with you for a few moments, and pray for all of us in the room. And God, I want to thank you for the church. I love my church. And I just have been really stirred today about how much I've got to always remember it's a relational thing. We're a part of the family of faith, a relationship, Lord. A relationship that begins the day we give our lives to you. And here's what I am just burdened about today, Lord. Some in this room, some listen online. They don't have that relationship yet. They've never chosen to give their lives to you. They've never chosen to ask you for forgiveness of their sins and trust that what you did on the cross was enough to bring them into the family of God. Well, God, let today be the day, would you? I'm going to realize that the offer's there. The hand is extended. You are saying to them in this moment, I want you as a part of my family. Are you willing to trust what I did to bring you forgiveness and make you part of the family of God? Because if you are, then welcome to the family. Father, I don't know what it would take, but somehow today, may you move in the hearts and lives of those who need to take that step and make that decision. Now I pray for that one or two or a few who, truth of the matter is, they belong to you. Yes, absolutely. They're part of the family, but they've been kind of absent from the family. In other words, they've been a long way away from you lately. They're not close to you at all. They may be showing up in church, but they're not close to you right now. Father, you know the things in our lives that take us far away. You know the things that distract us, that detour us, that deplete us, that damage us, that down. God, you know it. Today, would you deal with those things? And would you draw us closer again, whatever it may take? And would you reveal to each of us one step we can take to get closer to you today? And then, Father, I would be remiss if I did not pray that you will continue your incredible work on our church so that we truly are a congregation of followers of Jesus, that we truly are those who are part of the church that you died for and rose for and coming back for, and that we would love your church the way you loved it and love each other as a proof of that. So God, now would you do this for me? Before we leave this place today, would you get us to love on each other a little bit more? And give me the chance to do it as well. I trust you for that. And pray it all in the name of Christ. Amen. You guys got something to take us out of here on an up note? Well then, let's do it.
I was buried